Good evening and welcome to News Hour. I am Ibrahim Samora. Coming up in this edition of News Hour, Head of European Union Delegation Ambassador Tom Vance calls on social media operators to recognize and respect NEC. United States Ambassador to Sierra Leone Maria Beriwa praises the role of the media on the electioneering process but said the social media should be regulated. British High Commissioner Guy Warrington commends the work of the National Electoral Commission. All these stories line up in this edition of News Hour. The head of the European Union delegation to Sierra Leone, Ambassador Tom Vance, has said that social media operators should recognize and respect the National Electoral Commission. He urged Sierra Leoneans to be mindful of where they source information from and always cross-check before they put them out to the public. The EU head of delegation cautioned the traditional media to generate messages and also exercise maximum caution while disseminating said messages to the public. He commended the SLBC for what he described as fair and balanced chances granted to political parties before, during and running up to the March 7 elections. He added that state actors, including the police, should conduct themselves professionally during the conduct of the elections. We bring you highlights of the statement.
But I want to note that what we have seen up to now, and up to the point that a preliminary statement, and it's called preliminary, was issued, indicated that the people did indeed have the freedom to cast their vote according to their own will, and that the process was relatively well managed, despite the fact that indeed there were a number of irregularities and shortcomings. And as my colleagues have said, I think it has been very noteworthy that the NEC and other electoral management bodies have been very available to take on board some of these comments with a degree of proportionality. You cannot change everything, you cannot change your system in the space of time that is available. There's legislation which rules how elections have to be conducted. So all of that has to be respected, but we have noted that there has been a high degree of openness to address a number of the concerns which have been raised by different stakeholders. We have a longer term plan to continue to work with the NEC beyond the elections also. It's important to now focus, where there's a tendency that in between elections we forget about planning for elections. So this is also an important element of democratization. There will be lessons learned, as we have indicated. Some of these lessons require a lot of time to actually be implemented. It requires sometimes legal reform, it requires capacity building, etc. So we will continue to work also with NEC beyond these elections, but now we have also provided substantial financial assistance. But I do want to note that it is really important that these elections are primarily managed by the national authorities, and that also implies the financial contribution by the government, which is larger than the sum of all our contributions, and this is really important also for this electoral process. Okay. International community's role, and I actually would like to to turn that around. I mean, our role is really one of a supportive role. We depend on a credible process that delivers credible results that are accepted by the people, that are accepted by the parties, to be able to provide support, cooperate effectively with Sierra Leone and with the Sierra Leonean people. But the process is the process of the Sierra Leoneans. This is where the first responsibility lies. It's the people, it's the politicians, and we have been talking a lot about the issue of peace, calm. This is absolutely on everybody's mind. Everybody has been concerned over what has happened in the past couple of days, and it should be a responsibility for everybody, the political leaders at all levels, I would say, to act, to refrain from any insightful messages, condemn any acts of violence which are taking place. Of course, the authorities have to also play a role in that, to act with proportion when this is happening. And media has a very important role to play. So I would put at the center the Sierra Leoneans, all the stakeholders, from media to the ordinary people, over the authorities to the political parties, to maintain and to make sure that indeed we do prepare for a situation after the elections in which we as international community can continue to support in the interest of all Sierra Leoneans. All the bodies, authorities involved in the electoral process have played a professional role, have undertaken their duties in a professional manner. Of course, as with any process, as in any organization, not everybody acts at all the levels in the same way, but overall I think there has been a high degree of professionalism, and it actually has allowed on election day really to have very peaceful elections. People came in high numbers. There have been no serious incidents during the actual voting that has taken place, and I think credit has to be given also to the police for that. But it is of course true that some opposition parties have expressed a degree of distrust with the police. We are not blind to this, and we have all along also continued to encourage dialogue. There are issues which can be talked through. There are approaches which can be adopted, and I think that the police has also been very open to listen to some of the concerns of the opposition parties and to address some of these concerns. In fact, it's no secret, we just came out of a meeting with the IGP this morning, where we have also discussed around a number of these issues in the way that the electoral process is being managed, and I think that there is a very genuine effort to take some of the concerns on board which have been out there, and I'm quite confident that the police is going to continue to manage this process in a professional manner.
He is Tom Vance, head of European Union to Sierra Leone. The United States Ambassador to Sierra Leone, Maria Beriwa, has said that the media did well in the electioneering process so far, but said that the social media should be regulated by avoiding hate speech and what she described as Kaigo Brinkam and Kongosa during the runoff election. She said the international community has been supporting the electioneering process with trainings, voter education, women participation, fundraising, and also helping the Women's Situation Room. She added that the March 7 election were peaceful.
Has done a pretty good job. I think that certainly the U.S. government, and I know some of our other partners have been giving out training, talking to journalists about how to report these issues, about how to remain impartial and to present all sides of any story. So it was good in many cases to see that happening. I think what we are seeing that is unfortunate is that since the elections we've seen a rise in the use of hate speech, and particularly on social media, some concerns about people transmitting information that is not verified. You know, as I would like to say to my Sierra Leonean friends, you know, please don't indulge in kongosa, kotya, putya, kergo brinkam, all of that. That's not helpful. You know, when you are seeing a report on social media, really review it closely and don't just forward it, you know, mindlessly. And you know, don't let yourselves be used as a tool of violence and of hate speech. So the NEC is looking at these issues. They are being very forthcoming and responding to questions regarding the request for recount. I believe that NEC undertook well over 150 recounts before they even issued the final results. So I think they are doing their best to respond to these incidents, to respond to queries. I don't think it was a perfect election, but I don't think that such an election exists. I don't think anyone could hold them to that standard, but I think that they are doing their level best, and I think they're acting in a very forthright manner to respond to criticisms. And again, as my colleague said, we would encourage political parties and anyone who has specific concerns to raise those to the NEC, to raise them to the bodies that are empowered to take action.
British High Commissioner to Sierra Leone, Guy Warrington, explaining. The High Court has refused to grant an injunction on the National Electoral Commission (NEC) to plaintiff applicant's private legal practitioner Ibrahim Suri Koroma. The injunction was set to put a hold on the conduct of the elections runoff scheduled for the 27th of March. This is to provide explanation around the conduct and results of the first round of the elections by the National Electoral Commission. Counsel representing the National Electoral Commission, D.E. Taylor, stated that counsel for the plaintiff was not properly before the court, and therefore the presiding judge should discountenance his application. Presiding Judge Justice Abdulrahman Mansari refused to grant the injunction as the date of election runoff is close. He also noted that the election hinges on the presidency. The Sierra Leone Standards Bureau with the Ministry of Trade and Industry has temporarily closed the Haddock Sierra Leone Limited, a producer of Mr. Chips Bell at Morrington. The closure is as a result of a new sticker badge put on the products, extending the expiring date but not the expiration of the products. The extension of expiring dates from June 30th to December 2018 was done without the authorization by relevant authorities. The outlets remain closed until certain measures are put in place. Princess Gibson takes up the story.
I get the marketing manager of Hedex Sierra Leone Limited, Alhaji Kone. There is reports of one of our products when I choose one where people are alleged say it don't expire. How did you react?
I tell them thank you, and they tell viewers and very thank you for making I get the opportunity for explaining to them about this product where they alleged say it expired. First of all, I want to say this product, we the make them, and since we the make them, and we know the make them, we store them. We produce them based on demand in the market. We get people that we employ. Every day they go Abacha Street, they go to the market, they go shop to shop, then take quantity of what in the shops they want. Now based on that, we produce the next day. When they produce, we keep them. Now how we make them. The things then we import, now the raw materials then. The one thing we don't cause this whole thing, now this packaging material. This now one of the package, now the packaging material this we now in with the imports because we not able to make an and we're not able for data now because of a glossary. when we try for data and the ink it go whip. So what we do, we tell the suppliers then we have data. On the standard way we get that, and in 1 year the product will be fit for use. So you see the data best before 1 year of production. This material based on
The People's Movement for Democratic Change, PMDC, and the United National People's Party, UNPP, have declared their support for the presidential candidate of the SLPP, retired Brigadier Julius Maada Bio. The press conference, which took place at the Bintumani Hotel in Aberdeen, Freetown, attracted supporters from the two parties. The move follows the presidential runoff slated for March 27th next week. Hawa Mosri now reports.
Candidates of the PMDC, Charles Francis Magai, described his return to the Sierra Leone People's Party as historic, assuring Sierra Leoneans that they are about to embark on a new dawn of prosperity. The PMDC presidential candidate, Charles Francis Magai, informed the gathering that few days ago, the highest body of his party met to deliberate on which party to support for the runoff. Mr. Magai said majority of his members decided to support the Sierra Leone People's Party for the runoff.
We are very pleased, Mr. Vice President in waiting, Chairman and leader of the Sierra Leone People's Party, that we have made the right choice. And it is not just declaring our support for SLPP, but we are going to work side by side with you in our quest to achieve that desired goal which the people of Sierra Leone are yearning for. And I want to believe, and I'm convinced, that it is only a matter of days when Sierra Leoneans of all shades, of all political dimension, will come on the streets of Sierra Leone and rejoice that freedom is back in Sierra Leone.
The vice presidential candidate of the Sierra Leone People's Party, Dr. Julde Jallow, commended the presidential candidates of the PMDC and THIM for supporting the SLPP. He added that the SLPP will work in close collaboration to bring the party back to power as its manifesto. The new direction caters for better conditions of service for the citizens.
I want to thank you very much for the trust you have to join us, to work with us, to move this country out of the fragile situation that it finds itself, as you have rightly described. What we want to say, that this is an indication that the winning alliance is gathering momentum, and that momentum is going to sweep the APC, and we are going to wreck the APC and then push them to a corner where they will be able to understand that we have better minds, we have better heads, and organized people who want to move this country forward. And make no mistake, we have been saying this, and we are going to say it, and we will continue to say it. We have the People's Manifesto. We have identified all what we want to do for this country, and we are delighted that parties, political parties, legendary politicians like Charles Magai are coming on board because they believe in us and they believe in our project, that at this point in time, the Sierra Leone People's Party is well prepared to move this country forward.
The national chairman and leader of the Sierra Leone People's Party, Dr. Prince Alex Harding, informed journalists that the press conference was held to welcome the presidential candidate of the PMDC, chairman and supporters of UNPP as well. Dr. Harding expressed appreciation to the two parties for their support to the SLPP. Chairman and representatives of the UNPP also assured the SLPP National Executive that they will make sure that they embark on robust campaigns and voter education in some parts of the northern region to get more support for the Sierra Leone People's Party. SABC TV News are in Freetown. Hawa Mosri reporting.
President Ernest Bai Koroma has met with the National Electoral Commission Unfa Ali Conte at State House to discuss the just concluded elections and the Commission's preparedness for the presidential runoff on March 27 election. Here is the highlights.
Welcome all of you to this meeting. This is the usual elections update meeting that we have been having over the period. And the purpose is always to update ourselves on where we are whilst we were preparing for the elections and issues that are challenging us in the effort of carrying out our individual responsibilities. But for the purpose of this meeting, we have had the elections.
We conducted the elections, and as you all know, we observed both national and international observers. And I wish at this stage to actually thank the government, the people of Sierra Leone, and the international partners, and even the security people, all stakeholders for our efforts. Since the conduct, of course, we've been getting complaints here and there, especially for reruns, requests for reruns, sorry, recounts, recounts which we have done. In fact, that has led to the actual delay in releasing some of the results. Today we held a meeting with two major political parties for the runoff. Of course, we are preparing for the runoff. We held a meeting today to discuss certain issues.
We have covered substantial grounds on in the course of this meeting, and whilst we commend the NEC, security, and all the stakeholders for the conduct of peaceful elections at the time of the elections, relatively across the country, it was substantially peaceful. There are issues here and there that were noted, and I hope that the appropriate actions have been taken. But the outcome of it came with some concerns, and that is why we had this meeting. And I think in the course of this meeting, we have agreed on a number of issues. On the security, we have agreed that the security personnel should be fully involved in the transportation of electoral material from the airport to the polling stations, and from the polling stations to the tallying centers onto the final destination. They should be fully involved. I think we are all agreed on that.
And the return, sir?
Yes, that is it. From the Lunge airport to the polling stations. From the polling stations to the tallying centers and back to Freetown, or wherever is your final destination for the custody of these electoral items. Now we have also agreed that the MACP be invoked, and the police, the security, not the police specifically, the security should take full responsibility of the security, including securing even the election officials and polling centers, that they should be aware of the rules of procedure, right? And there should be no limit to this. Now, on the security, also, I think we agreed that the voting of the security personnel should be organized this time such that the list is provided, so there will be no overvoting of in polling station resulting from the votes cast by the security agents. So we agreed on that. Okay. Now, on the announcements, I think we have agreed that details must be given. But before the announcements, I think on the counting, we have all agreed that it has to continue in a manual manner. The manual counting in the polling stations is conducted, And what is still not clear in terms of the discussions is whether we move on to a national tallying center, discarding the region, or we continue at the region and then the national.
We cannot circumvent.
That's correct. We cannot.
Yes,
legally.
No. That's what is in the public
Okay,
election.
then let us move on in accordance with the legal procedure.
Yes.
Okay? That is the county, and our agents, the party agents, should be fully involved. This movement should be covered by the security agents, and the party agents of the political parties concerned should be fully involved in all of this movement and the tallying. And the display of the results at the polling stations. We've all agreed that these reports must be displayed, and the originals of the reports must be given to the party agents. The copies. The originals go to the tally center. The originals go to the tally center, yes, and the copies to the party agents, and the display.
Yes, sir.
In the polling stations. We agreed on that. And I think there is some concern on the integrity of the staffers of NEC. I don't know, the matter is still being investigated, and I think the Attorney General and the courts are handling it. I don't know how quickly we can address this issue. But agreed that where a NEC official or polling agent or a presiding officer is identified with a particular political party and there is evidence to the effect, he should not be allowed to continue with the process. I think we agreed on that. Yes.
As part of their corporate social responsibilities, Sea Right Mining Company has provided teaching and learning materials to Lambaya Islamic Primary School, Lambaya Village in the Kenema district. Hawana Tubangura reports.
According to the Human Resource Manager, Sia Josephine Aruna, the move is part of their corporate social responsibility to complement the efforts of the government. She said as a company, they think it is important for them to meet their obligation in providing them with the necessary learning materials.
Like they say, the government can't do everything. But as an investor in the country, he just thought it fit that, yes, let me do this, just so I can support the government also. They can't come down there and satisfy everybody. Because he's mining this concession, he just thought it fits. Let me just do it for this community. It will be fair enough for me.
As the March 27 presidential runoff election approaches and tensions mounts, members of the Saloon Bar Association have called on all Salonians to maintain peace, respect the due process of the law, and to desist from violence as the election is not a do-or-die thing. They strongly condemned the recent spate of violence, tribal sentiments, and hate speeches in the country ahead of the presidential runoff and called on for the need of political tolerance among the political parties. Our reporter Aminash Yande Brahma went out and about to seek the views of some members of the association.
President of the Sierra Leone Bar Association. Well, today I just want to give a general message to the people of Sierra Leone. You know, as a bar association, we are the body they represent all the lawyers in a salon. And after the March 7 election, we noticed an increase take place in like hate speech, incitement all over the country. Where people are seen for the incite people there or the type of hatred and division and regionalism and tribalism. So as an association, obviously it's not we're concerned with, because this election we really involved. We get the elections project and we did it for ensure say the election will come out fine one. So because of the concern, we issue a press release where we try for talk to everybody, the political stakeholders, the international community, the NGO community, we as people and we as citizens of Sierra Leone, for let people in temper and rhetoric, let people careful waiting and they say at this time, let me not bring division and talk to the way we threaten the rule of law and democracy in a salon. So basically, another we press release they say we talk to everybody, especially the political party stakeholders, the leaders, because they get an obligation under the law, even under the Constitution and the Public Elections Act, for making ensure that they carry out their campaigns in line with ethical and moral standards, and for consider say other people and self, therefore consider the respect of other political parties and even political opponents.
In Mina Lois Anitakawa, President of Lawyers, Lawyers Stand for Legal Access, through women yearning for equality, rights and social justice. This is the evening of Wednesday, the 21st of March, 2018. Next week by now, we all go down go vote. We go down go vote for who that we want for be the next president of this we beloved country, Sierra Leone. Do ya are the big old man. Will we go vote before we go vote? Let we go vote peacefully. Will we don't vote, don't we sign for other one for sign for? Let we come back now we us and can't wait till next announce the results. Do you fumble them at the big una? This not to anything for cause hala, for let we cause we say for anything in this country or even do worse than that, they do violence. As woman and as president of organization, waited for woman there and they appeal back to the woman there. So we not the cumbra there. Now we get control over we man and we picking them, we brother them, and even we sister themselves. I want the cumbra and the woman of this country back again. Let them spread this message. Say this not to time for any form of disagreement. Maybe we go get academic discussion like why we feel say one candidate better pass the other one. Why that candidate stay 9 feet for this country go before for the next 5 years. Of course, that kind of discussion they didn't fine. All man they learn from in company. But we don't need anything where today tomorrow go create bad feeling, we go create violence or anything like that. This country now we all get them, regardless of tribe, regardless of age, regardless of status, poor, educated, illiterate, whatever, illiterate, the country that we all do. Let we all join on for come together and for make this country. The only way we go do that day, if not we like we safe. And during this, now we go for sure say we like we safe. We not go for do anything, we go set up one person against the other. When Allah we get for member, how far we don't come. From their rebel days there to now. We know say we not ever get for good on that road again. Now peace, love, one word. Now we all look forward to now this beautiful country there.
My name is Fatma Tasori, Mrs. I'm a barrister and solicitor. I work in a Soil Bangla solicitors, not 16 Adelaide Street. We're happy to say the election went by peacefully, but unfortunately we're not happy about what we hear now with regard to the violence. I think say as a proud Sierra Leonean, we for be proud of what we have, with heritage, with custom. One thing that we as Sierra Leoneans are known for is tolerance. That we continue to exercise patience and tolerance. Elections they come and they go. They will left intact by God in power. That we forget about political differences, religious differences, and accept one another as Sierra Leoneans. We are Sierra Leoneans first before you consider your tribe or your political affiliations. Regardless of whose party you day, here in mind say, we don't get a bad history, a history we not forget, the history we will hold dear to the heart. If anybody don't forget the history we don't go through in terms of the war and the violence in this country, we get an obligation for go back in time and remind ourselves say that is not what we want. We don't want a repeat of any of those circumstances. Not one mind for run away again at this time. The election is just a few more days away. Let we exercise patience and tolerance. Let we be receptive to the results. Let we be receptive to one another. And no say, the politicians will always stay politicians. The ordinary Sierra Leoneans will remain ordinary Sierra Leoneans. No matter also you come out, also you day, whether you are red, whether you are green, whether you are rainbow. Salon should be first and paramount in everybody's hearts. Peace and quietness na be the big for. So all man, if you get Pekin, if you get sister, if you get brother, let all man encourage in company for listening to the other person's views. Violence is not the answer.
Hassan Sherry, I'm a lawyer at the Ukna Special Court. I just send this peace message to all the young men there, the youth there, because now they're in majority. So they not for allow the politicians they for use there, you know, for they preach violence and also for preach this idea of tribalism. For me, I not feel safe. I mean, Sierra Leone for be tribal conscience. In the sense like me papa na Timni, my mama na Suso, they born me na Mende line. My brothers they all na Mende they talk. I just come up Kailan. I get me brothers the Kenny man. Now they will come up. So if they preach tribalism, I don't know say tribalism. I mean, crop up from like my wife na Kono. So you see the mixture. So why now would they allow politicians their election when they come just a day and go away? At the end of the day, probably they work for their interest. Why if you allow yourself to be used? One like young man there, and they talk to everybody. May not allow himself to be used. Violence is not for you. You know, think of Sierra Leone. Sierra Leone is #1. If you think of anything, na Sierra Leone first. Election they come and go. Why if you allow yourself to be used? Them people they all get families there. They know they send them picking there. For go do waiting they ask for do so. So me they talk to everybody. Lord we go vote peacefully and return back home peacefully and listen to whatever next we say. I hope all things will come out fine and peaceful. And that's not the only message we get for everybody, especially the young man and the youth there. Like me so.
Views of some members of the Sierra Leone Bar Association. The Sierra Leone Standards Bureau with the Ministry of Trade and Industry has temporarily closed the Hadex Sierra Leone Limited, a producer of Mr. Chips cheese ball at Marinetown. The closure is as a result of a new sticker badge put on the products, extending the expiring date but not the expiration of the products. The extension of the expiring date from June 30th to December 2018 was done without the authorization by relevant authorities. The outlet remains closed until certain measures are put in place. Princess Gibson takes up the story.
The Mr. Chips cheese balls is produced in Sierra Leone except the packaging material which is imported in the country. This particular label has long been imported with a shelf life that has become overdue. As a result of drop in sales,
this product, we dey make them, and since we dey make them, and we know they make them, we store them. We produce them based on demand in the market. We get people that we employ. Every day they go Abacha Street, they go now the market, they go shop to shop, then take quantity of what in the shops they want. Now based on that, we produce the next day. When they produce, we keep them. Now how we make them. The things that they import, now the raw materials then. The one thing we don't cause this whole thing, that this packaging material. This now one of the packaging, now the packaging material, this we now in with the imports. Because we're not able to make an aya. And we're not able for data an because of a glossary. Where we try for data and the ink, it go whip. So what we do, we tell the suppliers then, we have data. Based on the standard way we get that, and in 1 year, the product will be fit for use. So you see them then data best before 1 year of production. This material, based on we past and sales show we get, will be the short this material. So it comes to a point we say, okay, let me order because we sell. As we order in a large quantity, now sales can't stiff.
Hadex Sierra Leone Limited initially sought clearance from the Ministry of Trade for the labeling of packaging materials, which was granted valid for June 30, 2018, based on the prescribed guidelines proffered by the Sierra Leone Standards Bureau.
When the date due, we stop production. We stop production, we say, but since we get a boku, we meet some stakeholders in the business and we try to engage them. We engage standard bureaus, we engage Ministry of Trade, and we suggest if they can advise we for make we label this product since now how we make an, expire it. Now only the plastic way we mark, because sales Steve make this, sell to that way. So, Minister of Trade say we not able to allow that for a label until we prove beyond all reasonable doubt that this product is fit for consumption. So, they write to Standard Bureau that this kind of thing on table. Standard Bureau every 3 months they can take sample, go do sampling, go test the product. If the product not in good quality or fit for use, they stop with. If 1%, they stop with. So based on, they do 2 tests, will all be accurate. Based on that, Ministry of Trade be issue with a paper will give you allow for a label the packaging machine when at this labeling where it didn't. So we'll be go ahead for a label.
The company should have sought another extension clearance of date on the packaging material, which the management failed to obtain from the Standards Bureau and the Ministry of Trade. The date was extended to December 2018 without clearance. These are according to the Deputy Director of Standards Bureau, Jogo Barry, and the Chief Director, Ministry of Trade, Charles Meriwether Thompson, who spoke of the camera is a misinformation on the product. This, they said, has resulted to the temporary closure of the company until new sets of stickers are ordered. Princess Gibson, SLBC News.
You are watching news coming to you live from the Ceylon Broadcasting Corporation here at our New Englandville studios. Now go for a short break and we'll be back with news. This is news coming to you live from the Ceylon Broadcasting Corporation. It's now time for business, and for that, let us join Mahalio.
From the business desk, a pound sterling buys at 10,241 leons and sells at 10,458 leons. US dollar buys at 7,458 leons and sells at 7,793 leons. Euro buys at 9,103 leons and sells at 9,284 leons. That's it for the foreign exchange rate. Now for some business stories. Traders in Dwozak Junction whose voice concerned over lack of price control. They expressed their views as Willemine Agboko was out to find out.
Hello, I'm currently at Dwozak Junction and I'm here to find out the current price situation of market sellers and also to search their minds on what will be their possible advice to the current government in terms of price control. Now let's see what they have for us. For now, business rising. Just because of one of the really transportation here, rising. Then the community is selling activity there. For now, business is very slow. Like this election, we don't they are ahead of it. They don't say one off. So like someone will left for take money, go put a party for it, say for can buy it. But I just request some more, not just want to run a whole still like that. But that make we come for council. So it's a new advice someone give to the president because they for me to get by this month here. Where they can let not forget we the businessman. And mayor that transportation side, here side, we are we can. them will can down, we will sell, we will get it for them. You know, say if transportation can down, they don't go buy, they can't sell really cheap, they also go able to sell.
And then my beauty to me. So the government will get progress for Canada. Let government win. If you win, make I bring you on the winner game. So poor man on it. When you sit down, you know the fella and anything you say you not poor man. But if you know if the fella is a good over to the Christians, the devil see they eat. But if you sit down and say they fall in hand so, then nothing. Pass no more. You sit down, maybe nothing. If you try, you dey live. Young girl they made them there for all bag, they gonna see they go work out. And the young boy they made them there for work out for cheese, made them not do that because they don't see work day. And they go inside, because one no one to. We know what? Left to you.
My name is Mr. Mohamed Bangwa. I'm a student, but right now I do business for you.
Okay, which kind of business you do?
I sell chocolate, I sell butter. Okay, for come. The people they use for me. Do the business there. And now, the one we want with the beer. Who believes say if we there no clean, we don't follow it, most pets waiting for them on the day. But then they don't do, not okay for we. So you know, clean our family people them. You get you don't get to you don't go know if you might get it, you power it. If you come out you don't get it, what you go do? Disgrace. They are put to government. Anyone come, the peace now is people. Anyone come, anyone ready. That's for me. We feel happy.
Society Kalon, reputation here. And you want to know this price? We find our advice that we are to give them let government reduce tax. The tax ain't the this price. Let government reduce tax. Taxation ain't the first way out. Taxation. Go renew your tax, your business document, but they tell you how much it costs.
Kola nut sellers in the east end of Sierra Leone say their business is economically viable. They made this disclosure to our camera operator, Dominic Tucker, as he visits Kenema district. Let's join Lucian Ganda as she puts the reports together.
Kola nut is the fruit of the kola tree. It is a genus of trees that are native to the tropical rainforest of Africa. The caffeine-containing fruit of the tree is used as a flavoring ingredient in beverages and is the origin of the term cola. Kola nut is relevant in the African tradition in that it is used in weddings, naming ceremonies, libation, and for some other purposes. Kola nut actually rank 10th among culinary nuts by worldwide production. Kola nut sellers in the eastern Sierra Leone were swift to explain the prices of kola nuts per bag to SLBC Business Desk.
And our kola business we do, as you can see, get me close, the uniform I can work with muchly. We are not benefit a lot from because I can do a business, I can go to a village, I transport kola, I go Guinea, I go send them Mali, see. For an example, if Posiki can, because you don't get specific price.
Okay.
So when I talk, Posiki charge you 400, 500, you see, when I talk, when I meet up. We go like government support, we help you much about the business, so the business will go more. So we will do something in the country, so the country will develop more and more.
Mohamed Kone is a kola nut businessman from Kailaon district.
We are the one way the beer from the dry season time. And the dry season you know this now.
Okay.
We got the one where they begin beer from April, May. From April to May, okay, the beer now they get for can now. Well, as a result they talk it's negotiable.
Okay.
Right from now, now from 400,000
upwards.
Where the challenges that we can get really, the cola tree, first of all, will not be realizing cola. Now produce way say na good way na produce way find inside.
Okay.
Because I enough we can use the plant to put the plant inside one something like that. So out of that another more we get. What they try for tell the government, we can left now come from other country that they can't buy food and they go to. We say why government they can facility now. So who say with the manufacturer with the work and what did they do to who say with the
Meanwhile, These kola nuts are not only sold in Sierra Leone, but also in neighboring Guinea and Liberia. Business News, Lucy Anganda, Freetown.
Many thanks to Imawali for the latest updates in business. Now for the latest update in sports, let me now welcome Esther Marie Samora.
It's sports update on News R. I am Esther Marie Samora. In this edition, the national under-20 male team known as Shooting Stars are on intensive training at the Sierra Leone Football Association Academy in Freetown. The training is in preparation for the first leg of the Under-20 Africa Youth Championship qualifiers against their Guinea-Bissau counterpart on the 30th March 2018. 47 players were invited for the training. SLBC Sport Desk has the story. Over 4 years, the Elite League, which is the Sierra Leone Premier League, has not been played in the country due to the infighting within the football sector. This has also affected Sierra Leone's participation in all international competition. It is against this background that the head coach of the national under-20 team, Ken Tabi, talks more on the selection of the players and some of the challenges faced by the team.
We are having a lot of challenge because of lack of football, and the way I came about selecting these players is like getting in touch with all our colleague coaches and telling them the challenge at hand. So I requested for their best, and they sent me 2 or 3 players. That's why we had these numbers. We scaled it down to 32 this morning. So we're still working, and some still have to go out today. That's the challenge I'm having now, because I have to start from zero. A lot of them are having much fitness, lack of activity, and some of them are overweight. So what do you have to do? So you have to manage endurance and tactics, and it's difficult because if you overload the players, you have a short time. You have to play on the 1st of April. If they're overloaded, they can't run. So it's a problem for me. So what I'm trying to do, I'm trying to put on 50-50 and to see what I can get out of them.
Some of the invited players say training has been effective amid challenges.
My name is Teofilo Junju Conte, and I come from the Alma Football Club. Actually, like the training, really difficult because like we don't run on Saturday, then we begin training back on Monday. So like the training hard actually. All the coaching and learning is beaucoup skill because they play counter attack, then we able to chase who lost the ball, then we run after man, and we don't learn a lot of skills because now other skills back to the land. So now for chase and for win the ball.
I'm Samuel Kylie from Boginja Striker. 5 years ago, training built-up began with intensive training, both anaerobic and anaerobic endurances. We don't really use these 5 days. Our training not really bad. And obviously, we match and we well determined and well focused with one mind. I hope say at the end of the day we will get very good results.
My name is Abu Kume. I'm the club where I come on Standard FC. The training so far, like, even though it's not bad, but it's not easy. Because like actually see morning and evening and not get for easy, but anyways the training good. Training nice because like every day we come and we cope up with the training. So far so good, the training not bad for now. We don't learn Bokutin because like now 5 days no more. For these past 5 days, they do extremely good. Like we don't know the position, the tactical, and we try for work on the system. So
the training continues at the Football Academy in Freetown. Sierra Leone National Under-20 male team on intensive training at the Football Academy in Freetown. That's the latest update in sports. I am Esther Marie Samuel. Thanks for watching.
To end the news, the main points again. Head of European Union delegation, Ambassador Tom Venn, has called on social media operators to recognize and respect NEC. United States Ambassador to Sierra Leone, Maria Brewer, has praised the role of the media on the electioneering process but said the social media should be regulated. And the British High Commissioner to Sierra Leone, Guy Warrington, has commended the work of the National Electoral Commission. That's all in this edition of News Hour. On behalf of my news editor, Ibrahim Mansari, I am Ibrahim Samora. Good night.